Shirt show. All right, let's go.
Shirt show! Talking shirt! Shirt show! Talking shirt! Shirt show! Talking shirt! Shirt show! Shirt, man! All right! Episode 114 of Shirt Show. We're talking with Tony from Tiny Fish Printing in New York. Let's go! Shirt show!
Hey there, babe.
Hey there, babe.
You look like you grew a full beard since the last time I've seen you.
Well, you know, that's what men do. Yeah.
It's looking good.
Hey, thanks. You know, you inspire me in so many ways. And I was thinking, well, we were away, first of all, and it's just easy.
You look really good with a big beard.
You know, like, how... Like there?
Not like big. Well, yeah. I mean, just like a full beard would look good.
I don't. Well, thank you, but you know what? I don't think I could do it. It's already. Well, it's past the point of wow, that's just really annoying
Itchy?
on my face. Yeah, it passed that. But now it's
what she
starting to
said.
get in my mouth a little bit. That's what she said.
She said that as well.
She said that too. Hey, so flew back yesterday. Good to be home.
Nice.
So good. So good to be home. I know you were worried about me and checking in.
I was.
My flight was okay and everything like that, and I appreciate that.
You're welcome.
Yeah.
How was it though? Was it good? Your trip like calming and you're all zenned out, full cup?
Full cup, zenned out, calming. Yeah, all of those, all the above, for sure. You know,
And then you came to work today and just got fucking drilled in the nuts.
it's not so bad. Like it was, everything's manageable. Everything was fine. Like, you know, I was worried. The biggest thing I was worried about when I was gone is all the flooding, but they came and our downspouts were clogged, but no longer. So the water's going to drain off the roof, and you know, we won't have that issue to deal with. So that's good, right? How about you? How's your week been?
Oh, for some reason it's hot as fuck here. So that's cool.
What's that mean? Like 80?
Like 90, 95
That is.
with like 90% humidity. So
Yeah, that sounds
cool.
like St. Louis every day.
Yeah. Chris and Sarah, who work here, got married this weekend.
Oh, really?
Mm-hmm.
Well, that's cool.
Yeah.
How'd that
A little
go?
upstate matchmaking.
Mhm.
It was wonderful. It was a good time.
And so now you have to fire one of them
Yeah, they're both fired.
because you're like, sorry.
Actually, yeah, I should just fire one just to see how it goes.
I know. Yeah. Which one? See, do you flip a coin? Do you bring him in your office? And nah, this is terrible.
Well,
This
Chris,
is so
Chris is
mean.
my best friend. I can't do that to him. Yeah.
So yeah, but also then I guess you're firing his wife, which is worse.
Yeah, but he'll have some more time without her, so he'll appreciate it.
Check this out. You know what that says?
Not a clue.
I tried Googling it and nothing. But what's super rad is it's from Ukraine.
Nice.
I got back and here it is, and I wanted to open it so bad. So far, I've got what looks like to be a couple stickers.
A little
Even.
polybag tee.
Wow. Okay. Yeah. Check this out.
What is that?
I'm
Is it
guessing that's
Putin getting
Putin.
kicked?
Yeah.
Yeah. Nice. Putin getting the bootin'.
So this is from Hard Times Printing, who
is currently having a hard time.
Dude, yeah. I mean, they are 60 kilometers from the front lines, and we've tried to have them on the show now for over a month, and it just keeps not working out. He keeps getting called to the front line, actually. Here's the back, by the way. Here's the shirt.
It's awesome. I love that he has Ukraine on there.
And this is, so buying this shirt contributes to, you know, a fundraiser for their shop. Oh, actually, I think not for their shop, but for just the people of Ukraine. Yeah. So yeah, man.
Hey, you want to do me a favor?
What's up?
Will you check your internet connection?
Why?
because you're so choppy to me.
Sorry.
You good?
Technical difficulties.
Did you change your shirt?
Yeah.
Did you just put a gray shirt on to match my gray shirt?
Yeah, I was like, I thought it'd be cool if we matched.
How about this?
That's so fun. Hell yeah. This is really good. You want to, should we sign off, sign back on?
Okay, give me a second. Perfect.
All right. There we go.
Little Frank action.
Frank. That is good. It's really, really good. This is all going perfect now. We just needed sometimes you need, to do the old start it over.
Turn it off, turn it back on.
So, Dill, turn it off, turn it back on. Step 1. It all starts with the screen, and whether it's new stretches or restretches, Frank and his team do it the best. To find out more, go to graphicscreenfashion.com, FFFFF.
Rank.com. Or greatfuckingscreens.com.
Yeah, I got confused because I'm looking at what I think is myself, and it's you, and you're
right.
It's the same.
So confusing. Mm-hmm.
Or,
I hope Tony comes out with the exact same outfit.
Cleaning screens is no fun, but EasyWay makes it funner. Their line of eco-friendly chemicals will help you keep your screens and your shop clean. Check them out at easyway.com. EasyWay.
It's the easiest way.
Truly is. Next, we have Action Engineering, and they make all kinds of accessories printers need. Go check them out at actionengineering.com. Have a look.
Mm-hmm.
Buy something. Improve your shop.
Buy something.
Monarch Color has a super opaque mixing system that you and I both love.
True.
What else do they have, Dylan?
They have a creamy, fantastic white. Works really well in those cold months. It's nice and creamy still. They have ULT2, which is a really good poly white. They have that.
And a matte.
Beautiful matte black that looks fantastic.
They do.
All that stuff's good, but the mixing system is where it's at. Zero issues with colors. They look great. Great hand as well.
Right. So learn more at monarchcolor.com. Ink better, print better, be better.
Live Moss.
Monarch. Could your shop use a little or a lot of help in the art department? Either way, go to 1-900-HOTStuff.com and get in touch with Nick or Lucas. And if you sign up in the month of August, you get a free kitten.
Dead or alive. We'll see how it goes.
Yeah. What would you
Depends
name
on
it?
the mail service.
So let's just say, what's a good name for a kitten? Like a shop cat.
A shop
like
cat?
A little kitty. Yeah.
Probably call it Puss.
Because, all right. Next, we have a tip from Chroma Line. You want to get out your phone?
Sure. If you're having difficulty washing out your image, that is typically caused by a few potential problems. Either overexposure, pre-exposure caused by UV light getting into your screen room, or your film positives are not printed dark enough.
That is a solid tip right there.
Not really a tip.
That's a good one. What do you mean? Like, why isn't it a tip?
It just says what's wrong with your screen. How's that a tip?
You okay? You doing okay? Did you get your morning walk in?
I did not, actually. I slept in on accident because I
knew
thought today was Sunday.
I fucking knew it.
Mm-hmm.
You thought today was Sunday.
Yeah,
okay,
I did.
Well, are you going to get some steps in tonight? What are you going to do?
I'd like to. I probably have to come back to work tonight.
Why?
Because I got a lot of shit to do. Got a big presentation tomorrow.
Well, we're recording?
I think so.
Forgot to check.
Hey, I like your beard and your glasses and your hat. You kind of look like me. And your shirt.
What about my shirt?
It looks so soft and silky. Non-nipple chafing.
Feels good.
Yeah, just like me. Do we want to stretch? Because I really need it. Because my shoulders are killing me.
So here, let's do this together. So we're going to do the left
You
arm.
gonna show me how?
Pull it in front of your body, pull it in front of your body, just like this.
Okay.
And pull it there. Now we'll do the right one.
Okay, that's good stuff.
Okay. Now we're going to pull it all the way back.
Like this?
You like that? Yeah.
Oh,
Good job.
thanks.
A couple good deep breaths. Where the fuck's Tony?
I hope he totally forgot.
No, he did not. Let's see. Our guest today is a guy I refer to as Tony Tinyfish. And as you and I both know, he's great to talk to when like you're working through issues. Let's say something happens at the shop and you think you know the answer, but you want, to hear somebody else's. Of course, we call each other.
Right.
Yeah, you want somebody to smack you in the face, you can do that too. But he sometimes comes up with something I didn't even think of or a different perspective. You know what I mean? He's just really, really good at that. In fact, he should have probably been a therapist of some sort. Maybe he was, or maybe he is, or maybe he's going to be. We don't know.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe just running the shop is a side hustle.
My favorite is when you talk to Tony
Could be.
And like you like give your whole idea to him of like what you want to do. And then he just goes, why would you want to do that? I'm just like, oh, okay. Well,
yeah, I'm an idiot. You're right. You're right. So he is always right. Like, I don't think he's ever been wrong.
Mm-hmm. We'll find out.
Not for me. He's always given like he's like my mother. My mother always, and I'm really good. Like, I'm glad I learned this from her because I used it on my kiddo. I'm like the same way with him, is that she never tells me like what to do. She just says, hey, you may want to consider this.
Yeah,
or,
try it.
If you did this, and yeah, she
my
never
mom
says,
used to just say,
don't do that, do this.
Yeah, my mom used to just say, fuck around and find out. So solid. Yeah,
but if I go to her for advice, she'd say, well, you could, you might want to think of it, maybe this thing or that. But like I'm a grown ass man. I gotta make my own mistakes, my own decisions. And Tony's just like that. He gives you that different perspective,
Mm-hmm.
But what I didn't know about Tony, and he's late. What the fuck's wrong with him? Let's give him a call.
Yes.
Hello?
Yes.
Where are you at, bro?
It says trying to join.
Typical boomer, doesn't know how to use a computer.
Yeah, how old are you, man? So let's see. Just curious, do you have a gray shirt on?
Greenish gray.
Nice.
I think that'll work.
Yeah.
I think that'll work. Is there any way you could find a backwards, or if you have a hat on, make sure that it's backwards?
I have a hat on, yes. Happy.
And glasses.
All right, shirt show by shirt show. Connecting you to the studio. Can you hear me?
Well, that's something.
Coming in hot now.
Now it's raining outside.
And loud.
Is it loud?
Well, you're just a loud human.
I feel like every time we try
yeah.
to do this, there's I end up in a closet. Is it echoing?
Perfect.
Last time we tried this, it was echoing.
Yeah.
Oh, that's right. Yeah, it's a little echoey.
Here we go again.
I think we're fine. If you just sit down and relax.
How about over here?
Hey, Jeff.
Yo!
What
Shirt
up?
show!
Just bring Jeff on.
Don't put me down. You don't want to hear from me. Ooh. Fancy.
I'm going to the office. We should have better internet there.
Chad's going to love this one.
Right?
I can't really hear you guys, but I kind of hear you.
Do you have headphones?
No. Who's got headphones?
Every person in America?
No, I can hear you enough. I think we can make it work.
There we go.
It shows that I'm in there.
This
Can you see
is
me now?
better.
You're good. Yeah, you're fine.
Oh, maybe because
The
you guys
best part-
portrait. Are you guys portrait?
Jesus Christ. Will you stop moving the fucking phone? I'm going to throw up if you don't stop.
Okay. All right.
Son of a
I think-
bitch.
No.
Is that not right?
Okay. Well,
No,
I see what he's.
not.
It's not right. But at this point, I
I'll
think
look at you
it's a lost
sideways the
cause,
entire time. It's
so-
fine.
Okay.
Mhm.
Anything for my boys?
I'm going to stop looking for a little while.
I'm trying to be a boomer of everyone that's ever been on.
Is it are you talking to me on a fucking razor?
I might be.
I think I know what he's doing. So, like, you remember the first time we did this? So this is round 2. For those of you that don't know, Tony was on before, and it was on. I looked it up. It was something like February of 21, maybe, or something like that. So it's been a long time. And that last time he was on, it was a marathon. It turned out to be the longest episode we ever recorded. At the time, it was 3 hours.
He set
Hold
the
on, I've got it
bar.
here. 3 hours. He did 3 hours, 12 minutes. And then a couple people came really, really close. In fact, within seconds. But right now he has dropped to number 4. And so I think what he's doing is he's trying to delay, like he's like dragging this out, like I can't get my phone to work or whatever. So that
I think you
he
underestimate
can get
my ability to talk because I don't need it.
That's true.
I don't need. I'm ready to go. Cut all this out. We'll start right now. Just start it right here.
Starting fresh.
Handicap me. I don't care. Let's go.
How's everything going at the shop with the renovations? Last time I was there, you were about to tear apart and paint.
We have we're going good. I walked you through, I don't know if you saw it, the DTG hut, the cabana.
Mm-hmm.
So we built that out. DTG, the Brother GTX bulk has arrived. We finished the courtyard with some shade and some tables, and we had a mural painted from a South African artist on there during the wall therapy. We poured concrete floors in our shipping and receiving area. We flipped shipping and receiving and finishing. So we basically rotated the shop 180 degrees. We added windows to the back wall. As per Andy's instructions, we followed all his diagrams. And then what else did we do?
You painted all the ceilings white.
Yep, we painted all the ceilings white up in that shipping area because they were just the old wood junkers. And what else? We're getting ready for the laser right now, so we're rearranging the screen department. We're flipping everything in the screens. 100.
Yeah, Frank told me you pulled the trigger.
Yep. So laser's on the way, September, even though they told me August. So September we'll have our laser, and we're gonna flip the shipping and receiving, or not, the screen department and the imaging area. The 2 room, we're gonna flip the 2 rooms, so we gotta rebuild it.
Are you finding that your flow is better now that you kind of move things around?
Yeah. So the flow is way better. Like suddenly it feels like we have enough space, even though we don't have enough space. But it is. I think we always thought it would be better the way it is now, but because we never had the floors in there flat, it was like a concave asphalt floor, and the rest is all leveled concrete. We thought it would be too big of a project to ever actually do. And then one of our leads on the team was like, why don't we do this? And I guess it'd been so long since we even thought about it. We're like, I don't know. Let's find out how much it is. So then we talked to a couple companies, and we got a really good quote. So we just went ahead and did it and dealt with the nonsense of not having that whole section for a week and a half. And now it's way better. So shipping is actually where stuff comes in and out, which makes more sense. And then finishing is where the stuff actually comes off the dryers and belts.
So many times, like, I have wanted to do kind of those projects, you know?
Yeah.
And then you think to yourself, man, that is such an undertaking, and our production is going to be down for how many days? Who knows, like 3 or 4 days or whatever. And then we'll have to catch up, and it's going to cost, $20,000 or $40,000 or who knows what or more. And so you sort of put it off, but then if you just do it and you just step up and fucking do it, then after you've done it, you feel so much better about stuff. Just like you said, you're flowing better, and you actually make that money back. I mean, maybe
Oh, yeah.
I don't know what your ROI is going to be on all that stuff, but I mean, it comes back to you, and also it just improves everyone's day.
100%. I mean, it just feels like a whole new facility. Like we got rid of that whole. There's an old M&R tour up on the site. It just looks like a night and day. It doesn't even look like the same building anymore. It's brighter. The flow is better. Everything's organized. We were even able to tape off a whole area along the wall for the fork truck to travel back and forth in, so we don't constantly have to move everything. So it just makes a lot more sense, and definitely we still feel like we're in too small of a space, but it feels way less. It feels more manageable, and it feels like we could potentially last another year in this space. So, yeah. So far so good. Definitely worth the investment, even though we'll be moving in the next year or two. But
now you're talking about moving, but you think that's going to happen, or what are you going to do? Because you guys own the building you're in now, right? Like you fixing it up is also helping with the investment of someone else buying it.
We would rent it out probably. So for us, the main things we did, the windows could be questionable whether or not the next person would want the windows, but the floor makes it just more usable for almost anyone that would come in here, because now the entire facility is one level floor. Mm-hmm. So we will be moving. We have an agreement now for a building, but it would be 6 months before we could even close on it, and it would probably be another 6 months before we could have it up to snuff to get in there.
Are you going to do a bunch of that stuff to that place too, or is that pretty much move-inable?
It needs a lot of work. It needs a lot of. It needs some environmental considerations that we're in the middle of trying to figure out right now. It has the electric has been stripped out of it, so it has no electric inside the building, but it does have 11 kV delta power coming to the area. So we'd have to get transformers from the utility and run new power in. But
it's kind of nice though. Like it sucks that the expense, but it's kind of nice to have it exactly the way you want it, and it's all brand new.
Right. It's just a better building than our building in general. It has we have 2 loading docks, and that's nice. Like one on each side. This building has 7 loading docks, and has 18-foot ceilings, and we have 15-foot ceilings, and it's on 5 acres, and we have just a parking lot. So there's a lot of cool things about it. If we can actually get the deal to close. If we can get the deal to close, it'll be great. So
is it out of the city then? If it's got 5 acres?
No, it's actually in the city. Yeah.
Oh, really?
Yeah, it's an environmental catastrophe. So we're hoping to maybe, and it's I don't know. This is all kind of speculation, but we're hoping to get the building, close on it, get all the environmental, the vapor intrusion reports, make sure it's safe for people to be on. If it is, then move, get it fixed up, baseline how we need it, move there, and then we'll have 4 acres of land that we could potentially do solar array on and have really make some real efforts towards kind of this ultimate goal of being more of a green facility.
Right.
Great water systems, all the stuff that we keep talking about here, but we just has made less and less sense to really go. We can't do solar here. We already need to move. So
right. And then you can rent out that space and have money coming in from that as well.
Right.
And I bet renting there is pretty expensive as far as downtown.
Which one? Here?
Yeah, your current space. You would probably charge a good amount for that place.
Yeah, I think we could. It's yet to be seen, but who knows? Maybe everything will collapse. The house of cards will come tumbling down, and we won't be able to rent it for anything.
Wonderful. That's. If I could say anything about Tony, it's that he's a half glass half full kind of guy. You know what I mean?
I'm like I'm a glass half empty, but I know that we can build it if we focus our energy and time and incrementally pour the water in.
I don't think that's a thing.
Sure it is. Why?
It is now.
I mean, I think
So why
do anything they focus on.
why all the changes all of a sudden? Like I know the building reasons, but like DTG seems to be like a big jump to get into, and then going with a laser, that's going to be a big change too as far as production.
So the DTG was because we have a customer that we have in our fulfillment area, Streaker Sports, who is great, and we've been working with them for a long time. They're here in Rochester, and we've been sending out their DTG because they have a print-on-demand model. I think they have like 5,000 designs or something, and we've been sending it out, and that's been a really terrible relationship with every person we've tried to send it out with, and a logistical nightmare. But I still was like, anything is better than doing it in-house. Then their volume has just gotten to the point where we're like, we can't find someone locally to do it, and the inventorying of the blanks and all this is getting to be a headache, and the transportation and the shipping. So it just got to a point where Jeff was tired of sales, and he has a digital background. He went to college for digital printers or whatever at RIT, and he had the sales background. And we needed a new person to take over fulfillment. So we initially moved him into fulfillment. And then it was like, well, Streaker needs a new solution.
Right.
Jeff really wants the opportunity to kind of take over something, like fully take it over. So we just said, figure out DTG. So I actually don't know anything about what's going on in there. Jeff has been doing all that.
Well, it's funny, like when we saw him in Atlantic City, that's what he was there for.
Yeah.
Like he was there to look at digital and see. So did you not know then that you were going to go with the brother, or?
I think we knew it. We already kind of knew we were going to go with the GTX bulk to start. That was about as far as I had made it in my research, Clubhouse and talking to various people. And we figured that was a good area to start with for what we wanted to do. So.
Right. And is it operational right now? Like, is he running stuff for that?
No,
or just testing
stuff. Got here.
Did you look at the possibility of DTF before you invested in DTG? Like, let's say, you said there's 5,000 designs. I guess that'd be a huge bummer to buy 10, DTFs of 5,000 designs and inventory them. But did you look at that at all? Because then you're not investing in equipment really at all. You're just investing in sheets of film, with transfer on it. And so did you consider that?
We did. We tried to get the customer to go DTF. It would have been still a little bit of a logistics challenge because if he gets 100 different orders in one day and trying to aggregate the orders and send it out to be DTF and brought in and heat pressed and sorted. But they didn't like the hand of the DTF because their stuff is specifically really vintage. Imagine just like a water-based print, one color water-based print or something, and really faded looking. So we can achieve that to some extent. Actually, with our DTG relationship, it was actually not bad because the print quality was so low because of the machine they had that it actually was good for this
with the vintage look.
Yeah, it went along with the distressed super vintage look, and we can achieve that really easily with the DTG. But we've tried a few different ways of doing it with DTF. We've tried to work directly with the DTF people about maybe reducing the amount of white on the bottom of the thing, but I guess the white is what the transfer powder sticks to, so they couldn't really. They said maybe there's someone out there that can do that, but they don't have any of the guys we've spoken to have not had that ability. So then we're like, well, we have a bunch of other people that want the DTG model. Why don't we just at least start with that? And I believe that you can do the DTF transfers on the GTS bulk as well if we decide we want to do some sheets of it for gang run stuff. But we do DTF now. We do order. I know Dylan and I have talked about that a bunch, but
I'm on try number 6 or 7 with vendors. The latest one came out really good. I think the biggest thing with it though is the post press. Like you can get good transfers from some certain people, but post pressing, I feel like is where it's night and day on like feel. Because I feel like a lot of places it feels like a fucking like plastic tablecloth.
Right.
Like it has that like crinkly plastic feel. But if you can post press it with enough pressure and like a certain textured fabric, it softens it up and, you know, makes it a little bit better.
Yeah, we've noticed that too. As it cools, it feels a lot heavier, and for the big area stuff. But we actually just got a perfect use case for it, which was a customer of ours wanted a 14 color tote bag, and they wanted like a couple thousand of them. And we tried to. It's a polyester, you know, the $1.99 tote, whatever the cheapest one you can get is, and they really wanted it screen print. It's high color count, a lot of spot colors, and also gradients. So it really is probably like a 40 color print. But we tried it, and we've done stuff for them before on cotton. But on the polyester, it was just probably one of the worst things we've ever tried to print. And we happened to order some DTF transfers just to try it out. And they're beautiful. The customer loved them, accepted it, and it saved us. I don't even know. It would be on press all week, and they would look terrible.
Right, but now you have to heat press how many tote bags?
A couple thousand. Well, for now, it may end up being this huge order, but I don't know. But it was almost. It was basically for us impossible to do on the presses. I mean, we tried it, and I'd like to believe that we can do almost anything on the screen print presses, but it just turned into a mess.
Yeah. It's not worth the hassle. That's kind of where we're at. And that's the reason why I'm doing so many tests is not because I want it to replace printing in any way. Like I would by far rather print everything. It's just like shit that's like a terror. Like you were just saying, like it's something that is just a hard thing to print, or it's a shitty location, or it's somebody who wants a 12 color print on like 25 shirts. I feel like we're just turning so much of that shit away because we were just like, oh, this is a hassle. This is a hassle. And it's like, well, is it really a hassle, or is it something where we can just find a different method that works good for it?
Right.
So that's kind of where I'm at now is like, okay, cool. Let's find like a really good vendor for DTF. Let's find a really good post press method. And then when those customers come to us, we don't have to turn them down. We just charge them like a retail price and say, hey, the shirt's going to be $15-20 or whatever. And we do the 20 pieces, or like you said, if it's 10,000 tote bags or whatever the hell it is, we invest in some better heat presses that can do them faster.
Right.
But you can still do that job. You don't have to turn it away.
Yeah, I turn much away. So if we could figure out a way to do it and make the meet the customer's expectations or exceed them, ideally, then why not make it easier on us and get a better, like, I don't have it here, but it just looks phenomenal. Like we would never have had this print quality on this type of tote bag with this type of artwork. It just was the perfect storm. And, they loved it. So what am I going to do? Tell them, oh no, the screen print is so much better. Like, oh, you're good. I hand pulled these. I know it looks awful and you can't see the difference between the colors, but they're hand pulled. I promise.
Exactly. How's things been for you? Because I know we've gone back and forth on like the way the world is right now, and ups and downs with the amount of jobs coming in. How are you guys doing?
We are busy, so no complaints there. So far, we're still 20-something% over last year. Last I heard, I think this month will be the real kind of like, because this is when we normally start getting really busy. We have upticked already for the first week here, but I think this will really tell the tale of the tape the last few months of the year here, because that for us is normally our biggest months. I think like last November was our biggest month ever, so we'll see how it goes coming into the end of the year. But the orders have been coming in so far so good, so no complaints on the volume of work.
Yeah, I've noticed at the end of the last week and the beginning of today, it's been really busy as far as quoting and all that stuff. Great. So I feel like August is going to be really good.
Yeah, how are you guys normally busy through the end of the year, or?
Yeah, about until like Thanksgiving, and then it starts to kind of slope down until February. So. And
how about you, Andy? How are you guys over there?
As far as our shop, we're up similarly to you. We're up.
Cool.
Low 20s, like, so that, we finished out the first half up 22%. And that's really surprising, honestly, because when I started the year, I was like, okay, 2021 was a record. We don't want to print any more shirts than we just did. Otherwise, everybody's going to lose it, including myself. And so we went about with the idea of, well, let's just do exactly what we did. And if we were flat, then great. Have enough, to go home and make a sandwich, and we'd be happy with that. But so we started to work on a few things, like how do we become more efficient with our flow, and went down the list, and we sort of like you, made some improvements to the shop, and we did it kind of early on before we thought anyway, before we were going to get too busy. But man, it just kept coming and just kept coming. And when I looked at it, it was just surprising. It was surprising that, if you had asked me without looking at the numbers, if you had asked me like, hey, you guys busier? I would say no. I'd be like, no, we're probably just flat, or maybe even not quite where we were, but we're up. And so that's really good. I think that what that says is that all those things worked. And so it's really cool to have, because it wasn't easy, all that stuff, selling a press and getting a new press and moving stuff around, you just went through it. And so Dylan's kind of doing the same thing. So anyway, I have a few things that would love to hear from you about, the first one, rotation. So can maybe we kick it off with that. Can you tell us what you mean by that?
Try it in like a dummy sense. Like the listeners have no idea what we're talking about. So like, why did you implement the rotation? What is the rotation, and how is it going?
Yes, the rotation. So the rotation is the rotation is a response to. It's a response to feedback from the staff, really. We started as just a couple people, and we just did everything. That was just how. So then when we brought someone in, they would learn everything. And it was just always kind of like that. And then when we started getting to 10 people, 20 people, 30 people, 40 people, not everyone does everything anymore. So you have kind of like, this guy is in screens, this guy is over here, this woman is over there, whatever it is. Well, what would end up happening is the feedback we would get is like, hey, I do tags, I do catching, I do finishing, I do this, right? But then I would come along and be like, I would see them, I'm making up a scenario, but I'd see them on their phone or something. I'd be like, hey, what's going on over here? You're on your phone, you're not getting anything done, whatever I would say. And they'd be like, what are you talking about? Like, you're a maniac. I do all these other things, and you just happen to come out here for the 1 minute. So there was that kind of like feedback, which was like, I was like, well, we in my mind, I wouldn't actually say this to them, but I'd be like, we hired you and you should do everything. It doesn't matter. I'm the boss, blah, 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 blah. So you should just do all the stuff. If I need you to take out the garbage, take out the garbage. But so there was that. There was always this kind of feedback there. And then there was another feedback from a senior printer of ours, that guy who's been here since the start. And he kind of was like, I don't remember exactly how the conversation went, but at one point he's just like, I was like, well, listen, we can't just pay everyone $25 an hour. Like, how is that going to work? Like, we have different tasks, and some tasks are really easy and they're not worth $25 an hour to us. And he goes, well, why can't we? And I was like, well, because we can't. I just told you why. But anyway, later on, I reflected on it. I think Andy and I have talked about just this reflection period, because you have that first instant, like, knee-jerk reaction where you're like, no, we can't be XYZ way. It has to be this way. So I reflected on that, and I was like, well, I guess the challenge for us is not, can we pay everyone $25? We probably cannot. But what would they have to know to make $25 an hour? So and it wasn't $25 an hour. I think it was $21 or $22 an hour is what we started at. So we said, okay, what would I pay $22 or $25, whatever the number is, I guess, in your market is how I would do this. So I would say, how would I pay someone $22, and what would they have to know, and what's that worth to me? So we started there, and I started thinking about it. I'm like, well, why don't I figure out how to get them there? And then also this solves the other problem of me just feeling like everyone should do everything and having no real way to reward them for learning all the things. Like, because Joe Blow catches shirts all day, why should he make as much as the person who works across 3 areas all the time? So along came the cycle. So the cycle is what I believe was the solution to both of those problems. It gave a roadmap for the staff. It gives a roadmap for the staff to understand how, when they're in an area, what they need to learn to get a raise. Two, if they end up going through the whole cycle, it gives them the roadmap on how to get their raises to get to the 22 or 23 or whatever it ends up being at the end of it. So I think we started right now at 21. We broke the shop up into this board. I don't know if you guys can see it. So we broke the shop up into 5 departments. So it's your press area, your catching, your tag area. This one doesn't technically count in the cycle, but neither does this one. This is finishing. So folding, bagging, relabeling, heat pressing, all that kind of stuff. And then the screen department. So we broke it up. We divided what we believed. We divided basically 21 by 5. And we said, okay, if you learn each of these areas and you pass it through them, then you get 75 cents. We defined what our starting salary, the minimum we want to start people at is 16. And then we said you get 75 cents for all 5 areas. And we have this other part, which is what I'm working on now, which is like, there's your general. So that's like when you start here, you learn the general stuff. And then here's the press stuff. So they'll have their name here. And basically, like, you've learned the presses, you've learned catching, you've learned, so they can see it clearly on a board somewhere where they're at, what they need to learn. We can have mutual accountability. We don't forget what they've learned. And we don't forget to pay them for what they're worth because they've learned all this stuff and they're XYZ amount valuable to us.
Right. So basically they do a task, they get a gold star.
Yes.
And not only do they get the gold star, but then they get a raise and they have incentive to go learn this new task.
Right.
And that's a win-win because they're winning because they're getting, increased compensation.
Yep.
They're not stuck in one department, let's say, because they can move around. And that's basically how we started talking about this as the burnout. And then also it's a win for you because you have this cross-trained, team member that can,
Right.
if somebody's gone, they can go bounce or fill in, where that person's gone.
Right.
And so the part that I didn't quite get is that the rotation part. And so like, let's say they're at you said in finishing, how long are they in finishing and how do they move? And it's not just, hey, I want to go over to the presses or the screen or whatever. It's like assigned, isn't it?
Yes. So right now, all right, so I will start by saying we've only gone through what we're calling one cycle, which is about 4 months. So we've only just initially rolled this out. So it's still a mess, but we're modifying it. We're adjusting it. We just sent a survey to all of our leads. So each department has a lead. That person does not rotate. So those leads are now providing us with the feedback for the loop. Like, how did it go? Is it enough time? What skill sets do we need to add to the area, whatever it is. So we, at the end of 4 months, and this may be one of the first things we change, I don't know, but at the end of the 4 months, we basically, myself and the leads get together and we just assign everyone new areas. Everyone that's in a rotation, so we call this the quality control team. So there are people that don't move, though they've kind of graduated off the quality control team, and now they go up to, like, say, lead, or so there's lead, and then there's some positions like press operators where. So it's different. I know it sounds hard to explain, but so it sounds like beautiful mind, but
That's what I said. I feel like I'm talking to Elon right now.
Yeah, all of a sudden I got lost right there.
I'll try to zoom in. I'm going to zoom in with the camera here. I'm going to try to flip this.
You lost me a little bit because one of the things I think that is really important and why we started talking about this is because let's say you have a press assistant, or even like, let's say you have a press team, a press operator and a press assistant, and even the quality control person at the end of the dryer. Those 3 people, let's say they're on a press that is very high volume. That press happens to be high volume on the same job. Let's say you're running a 10,000 piece or 20,000 piece you're doing 3,000 a day minimum or whatever, and you're running it for days, the same print, and it's just volume, 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 and you never get those breaks of, oh, I'm gonna set up a new job, or just just the sheer boredom of doing the same job over and over and over, and unless you're listening to a great podcast or something like that, So I think what I and you just said maybe the press operator stays on that press and they don't go to a different department. How do you rotate a press assistant to a different press that doesn't do that same sort of thing? Or should we just get better at assigning jobs? Look, okay, let's press. We need to run this high volume, and that's kind of hard too, because sometimes it has to be on a 14 color instead of a 10. You know what I mean? So it gets complicated.
This system is complicated, I will say.
You don't say.
It is complicated administratively, but at least right now too, because there's so much of it's not done as far as the boards for people to see their training and stuff. But I think the problem you're talking about, Andy, is maybe a little different than the problem we were trying to solve for. But also, we approach that solution a little differently because we have back to the board. So we have. I don't know. Can you guys even see this?
You got to remember, we have people listening.
I know, people listening. So we have 2 automatic presses in a pod. You have a press lead. All right. So this person does not rotate. They helped set up these 2 presses. So they're not really running anything. They're helping set up and they're monitoring the printing. Then we have Alex, who's a press operator. This is basically, we've decided that Alex has a natural inclination more towards the print side, could potentially be the next person who really learns how to operate the press fully. So he does not rotate. Josh, same way. So Josh is kind of the backup for these guys. These guys are the quality control. So they'll say, see, they don't have the QC in front of them. So these guys are the rotating ones. So they're loading, unloading, basically loading, unloading, setting up screens, inking screens, detaping, pulling screens off press. These guys will rotate every 4 months.
So long story short, it basically seems like, and tell me if I'm wrong, it seems like you've got your key players that are your talent. Like there's the ones that, you're kind of a seasoned vet printer or you're ahead of a department. Those people stay put. Those people you're already paying top dollar for because they're the high skill, high focus people in those areas. The people who are actually rotating are the newer people, less experienced people. And those are the people, like it'd be like the puller and the catcher and the person doing tags and the person doing screens. Those are the people that are rotating so that they can eventually become the high skilled person in whatever area they're really good at.
They're going through the gauntlet basically. So they're nitty gritty, the load, the unload. They're not. We're not rotating and saying, okay, now you learn how to run this press.
Right. That's what I mean. They're assisting.
Yep.
Right. So that's the rotation, is pretty much you're moving all the not as skilled people so that they're all become skilled people.
Right. And then what we've already discovered is it helps us weed out bad personalities really quickly. Because if they don't get along, or if they aren't performing in 2 areas, well, okay, that's a red flag. And then if they get to a 3rd area and it's kind of the same thing, then it's clearly not a good cultural fit, and it's time for us to move on. Like we can weed out kind of knuckleheads faster. And it helps train. It gives people it gives the path for people that really want to follow it. There's some people that just come in and they want to catch and they don't want to do anything else, which is fine. But it also allows us to have that conversation with them. Like, well, you're going to make $16 an hour. If you're okay with that, then that's fine. You stay here and you catch. And if that's what you're happy doing, and that's how you want your work day to be, that's okay with us. We still need someone to catch. You don't necessarily have to rotate. Then we just have one more less rotation person there. I think we're big enough to where it allows us to have a little more flexibility like that.
Right.
But then we don't have that pressure of like, every review would turn into how do I want to make more money. Well, you're still doing the same job.
Right.
So want to make more money
So pretty
or more things.
So pretty much, I really like the idea. I like the way it's working, and I think for your size shop, it works really well because you do have a lot of people that you can move around. Yes, you're training a bunch of people, so if somebody's out, you have more people. But also, you're giving the people who want to move forward and they want to make more money the opportunity to do that without just them saying, "Hey, Tony, I want a 50-cent raise,"
Right.
but I'm going to do the same work. Now you have something to give them and you're like, hey, I will give you that 75-cent raise, but you need to learn finishing department. You need to learn how to do screens so that
Right.
I can pull you out of this one and put you in the other one if I have to.
Right. And all of everyone backwards compatible because, we say, so when they learn that area, they are then accountable of that area. If they come in and the finishing department is getting hammered, Tom, our production manager, looks at that and goes, all right, I can send this newer person to go catch this job. Because like Andy's saying, and I think this is where it addresses Andy's monotony problem. Like to me, once a job is set up, whether it's 13 colors, 14 colors, the hybrid, simulator process, anything, the setup, the tweaking, getting it all ready, that's the hardest part. Once it's up and running, once they're loading, we can have the newer people load, unload with someone monitoring it. So then Tom can say, hey, I'm going to put the newer person on this catching task. I'm going to take the person who's cross-trained in this area, and today they're going to go back and help finishing. And there's no, well, I'm not a finishing. Well, you are because you're being paid for having that extra skilled set.
I like it. Yeah, it's good. Do you do it for just production, or what about the people in the office? Or are those just the key people that stay still?
So we started with just this quality control team because it's our production is the biggest amount of our staff.
Right.
We only have 4 or 5 people in the front office total. But we're currently we won't be doing this rotation type skill set system, but we are doing a system for the sales team. And then we are going to do a system for the art department. The art department one might have some of this stuff. So I'll say this, the first cycle pissed a lot of people off, especially the older crew that got used to kind of sitting in their area and kind of muddying up the system, in my opinion, in some ways. Some people left, which was tough to deal with. But with the new system, with so many new people and being 20% busier, we are still getting 33% more throughput than we were with our old system. And that's losing some long-time people, some talented people.
What was their objection? Why did they decide to leave? I mean, were they half out the door anyway, and this was like the final straw?
I think that's probably some of it. I think and we've kind of talked about this before. I think off is there's the culture, there's their personality. There's so many things in play. Like, what are they looking to do with themselves? How long have they been here? It created more work for those guys. Like, if they were in their zone and no one wants to really add more work to their day. A lot of people don't want to train anyone. So we had one situation where the person was actively trying not to train people that were interested in working here. So the person would find out that these people were wanted to be here, and they would just kind of stop trying to show them things. And
why? I mean, for like job security, they were threatened or something?
I don't know. I really don't know. I think there's a couple of people I really don't know. I have no idea. And I think I've talked about this also with maybe tomorrow. I think with his shop, he's got a personality right now that maybe I shouldn't shout out his shop, but there's some personality that no matter what you do, you're not going to please them, and no matter how you make it, they always we put in the windows here, and there was a couple of people that thought we were only doing it because OSHA was coming after us about the windows or something. I'm like, I don't even know what you're talking about. We're putting in windows to make it brighter in here and make it nice and pleasant and have a breeze.
Right.
Well,
that's the hardest part about the business. I feel like no matter what businesses or what you're doing, it's the people that's the huge task. You can't make everyone happy. Like you said, you have done the research, obviously, and you're putting the system in place because you know it's going to make the shop a better place.
Right.
But the people in the shop don't give a fuck about that. They just want to like get paid and get their shit done and go home. And
Well, I see.
you need these people to be on board.
Well,
and,
that's the attitude I had probably for the last 10 years. They don't really care. They don't really whatever. But what I'm finding now with having more clarity and providing them a path and giving them the having the opportunity, having the clarity, having a system they can follow, the right people get it. They just get it and
right.
see how that adds value, and that they see how they can take it. Like we have people that have started now in this with all this upheaval that happened. We have people that started maybe a month or two ago, and they're already running a full department, just like that. Like, boom, they took advantage of it. They're making the tops out. They just like within a week, people are already asking them questions. Like they just have come in, they see the structure, they see how they can benefit, they see how the work balances compared to maybe where they were, where there was no structure and everything was internalized from the boss or the manager, and it was on their whims when everything would happen, and that was us forever.
Right.
Now it's clear, it's out there, and these people the right people have come in, and the culture in our shop, even with all the upheaval, is better than it's ever been. The throughput's higher. We're making more.
I love that. I love how that works. Sometimes you have some, like you said, veterans leave and you're like, oh shit, that you have a moment of how are we going to get back to where we were or whatever.
Yeah.
But it just always seems to work out. I mean, it's, and then sometimes even better. And
Yeah.
it's amazing how that works.
So the way we review the areas, so there's a list of tasks in Excel. So it's loading, unloading, loading straight, learning to read the mock-up, things like that. The way we do it is you have a 0 for you have not been shown this task, a 1 for you're learning it, and then a 2 for learned it. So there's no like, oh, you're a 3 out of 5 loader. Like it's just you either kind of pass it or you don't for each thing. And then once you add up that column, and we have it all in Excel on Google Docs, but once you add up that column, that just determines whether or not they pass that whole area. The part that we don't fully have fleshed out is like, how do we detract points for people that are just like always trying to get on their phone, or, we got to standardize a system for that part of it so that we can make sure we're giving good feedback. Like, listen, man, you're fine with XYZ, but every chance you get, you pull your phone out or you disappear.
Yeah. I hate the idea of punishing though. And I hate the idea of modifying behavior through punishing. I like it through reward. You know what I mean? Like you would rather say, hey, if you don't pull your phone out this month, you get whatever extra instead of, subtracting. That's really tough. But I remembered, so I have a couple of things. One, we're in this, Dylan and I are in a text group, and
Whoa.
somebody asked, you want in? You should be in. That's for sure. Why aren't you? That was a mistake. Huge error. Actually,
I gotta go, guys. I'll see you.
Be careful what you wish for. But it's it's a really good. I love the group, and I think that there was a question asked, and it was asked pretty recently, and so it's on my mind. And the question was, if you ever hired anybody back that you fired, so you term somebody, and let's say you a few years later they've matured or whatever it is, and they're available again, do you hire them back? Versus because that's one rehire, versus somebody who voluntarily quits. They come and they put in 2 weeks on good terms and hire that person back. I mean, have you ever hired somebody back that you have terminated, and have you ever hired somebody back that left on good terms?
We've never hired anyone back that we've terminated. I don't think we've really had the opportunity to. Have we? No, I don't think I've ever hired. Maybe I have in the early years that I'm kind of forgetting, but it was probably not.
Would you? So would you now? Let's say somebody came and they called you and say, hey, Tony, I'm looking for a job, and you've terminated them. It's just a no way?
It would depend on what it was. If it was literally the cultural, they were always angry, they were always, whatever, that type of thing, probably not at this point, because I want to tell the stories, but I don't want to like out personalities either. But like, I had a long run with some people that I tried everything to meet them in the middle and try to be open and communicate and blah, 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 blah. And it would work for a little while and then they would go back. So I would be hesitant now with the way the culture is going to bring someone back who's had like this change of heart of their mood without maybe some real evidence of that they have some reflection or whatever therapy, whatever it is. And running the risk that they're just going to come back and be bitter within another year or something. I don't know. Like, I guess it would. I feel like that's
the case though, is that you let somebody go for a behavioral issue. And I think the thing is though, is that a lot of people get in a tight spot where they're like, I can't hire anyone right now, or we're so busy. Oh yeah, I remember this person that we fired, like, is looking for a job again. And it would really get us out of this bind. It would really help us out. We're busy.
Yeah.
This person already knows. Let's hire them back.
Yeah.
And they're good for like a month. And then after that first month, they like back into their old ways of like being a dick.
You just described the ex-girlfriend situation where you break up.
You're horny.
And then you're like a month later, you're horny and you're like, well, she wasn't so bad.
She did this one thing. And then you realize she's a fucking lunatic. And you're like, yeah, I remember why I broke up with her the first time is because she fucking stabbed me when I was sleeping.
Stabbing. That's not a good look. Getting stabbed. You should probably not date someone that stabbed you. So if I was stabbed by an employee and then they came back around and wanted to work here, I would probably second guess that decision.
Dylan must have been really, really horny.
Yeah.
So, all right. I have another one. So this happened to us just a couple of weeks ago.
But really quick,
somebody,
I would say, try, and this is what my current thought process is: try to create the system so that it can handle a certain amount of turnover and really easily get people up to speed, so that no one becomes that important that I have to really second guess whether I should bring them back or not. But we have had people leave and come and they were not so great when they left and actually come back and be awesome. But it didn't end with us terminating them. So those people back have become all-stars since they've been back. So, but I would say I'm working on trying to get the system in such a way that we can bring them in, get people through departments really quickly and highlight the best people and keep it so we can just keep feeding the machine as we keep growing without having to like go and try to bring people back that maybe weren't a good fit.
Yeah, for us, I've never hired anybody back that I've terminated, but I have hired several back that left on good terms, and it was always this, like, for us anyway, it was always a success. Dylan, I can't remember what you said. What was your answer to that?
I said hard pass. I said I'd fired people. No, my exact answer I think was, yes, I've hired someone back, and it was just as satisfying to fire them the second time.
yeah, that's what it was. Next scenario. So you have somebody start, okay, and they are really great. A week and a half, 2 weeks, not sure exact time goes by, a few weeks, let's say, goes by. And then out of nowhere, one morning, no call, no show until, so your start time is 8 a.m., no call, no show until 11:30-ish. And the excuse is so sorry. And I don't want to say the excuse because maybe it's too personal, but so sorry. And what do you do? Because here, I'll tell you what I did. Because normally no call, no show is just, that's it. There's no second chance. But
they were just late one day.
Yeah, but that's bad. Like 11:30 and your teammate, your coworkers, your other team members in your department depend on you, and then all of a sudden you're not there, and then you're like, oh, it's okay, it's cool, like, there's just no, like, you've got to call. But you're right, there's a
were they doing a good job for the first 2 weeks?
Yeah.
Okay.
But it's still pretty early on, like it's just 2 weeks in, this is pretty early on, and they just didn't call.
You're still ordering spaghetti and trying to eat it out of one plate. I got it.
Yeah, and so here's what I did. I gathered that team that department and I said, let's take a vote.
Wow. Survivor.
Because I didn't want to set a precedent of like, hey, it's fine to do this. Like if you just on your first 2
Yeah,
weeks,
but
if you
that's
don't
like a new hire. That's kind of just like a strike one. Like, hey, like I would never say anything until it was like they've done it 2, maybe 3 times in a row.
Yeah.
Of like, like shit happens. Like I fucking thought today was Sunday for like the first quarter of the day today. Like,
I don't so Sure Kong, we don't tolerate not showing up.
Wow.
There has to be a pretty amazing excuse. And I sort of put it like this. I was like, and I guess that's maybe is how I put it, honestly. As I said, like if you had been here a year or 2 even, and this sort of thing happened, of course it's okay. Like, you're not going to be terminated on the spot or anything. You did call eventually in the morning. It's just, I think more of what it was is just during the first 2 weeks, you're on a pretty intense, like, probationary period, and it's the honeymoon, and all of a sudden you didn't show one day. That's awful. And so
such a hard ass.
I don't know, like we have stuff to do. Like this is a serious job, and it's
what happened. You voted. Did you put them like in the center of the circle, and then everyone like put their vote on?
No, they weren't here.
Oh.
They weren't here. And so I yeah, everybody voted, and it was unanimous, and so they stayed.
Oh,
I think I got a second
I thought you were
chance.
gonna say unanimous fire.
Nope, unanimous second chance.
Well, I saw that coming because everyone that works there is nice. Like,
Except for me, apparently. Okay, wow.
Yeah.
Well, forget I asked it. All right.
If they're good, if they're showing promise in those first 2 weeks, and it's an outlier, maybe it's an outlier. But but now you just got to make sure you're noting it, so that if it's 3 months and then it's another one at 8 months and then another, whatever, you're just like, listen, this is
yeah. If it's a pattern of
okay, so let's say it happened. Let's say you forgive that, and 2 weeks later, same thing happens. Is then it's on the spot termination right there? Like that's it. So at what point do you say, okay, enough? You say pattern. What do you mean? The third time? Is it 3 strikes? Well, how does it work at Upstate Merch?
Let's hear it, Dill. Let's hear it, Dilly.
It's just willy nilly.
Dill.
I don't know. I feel like
if fires a customer.
Yeah, I feel like shit happens. I feel like I'm no different than them. Like I do shit all the time. That's like, I don't know, something happens, or I have to do something in the morning, or I don't ever sleep in, but it's just like shit happens. Like sometimes you can't make it or whatever. Yeah, they should have called, but like, I don't know what their excuse was, but like if they were trying to drive to work and their car broke down on the side of the road and they were trying to like call someone to come tow their car or whatever, and they just didn't think to call me because they were too stressed out, I'd be like, yeah, whatever, like shit happens. But like if they did that again next week and then the week after, then it's like, okay, come in my office, let's sit down. Like, hey, like I'm noticing your fucking no call, no show till noon, and this has happened 3 times in a row. Like, what's going on? Like, is this going to continue to happen, or are you going to keep doing this? Because if you're going to keep doing this, like I got to find someone else that I can rely on. But I guess it's just a conversation at that point. But I think if it happens just one time, it's not that big a deal, especially because if they've only been there 2 weeks, they're obviously not in like a crucial production spot. So it's like Tony's method. I could probably just grab somebody from another department and be like, hey, will you catch at the end of the dryer because this person's not here? And then have a conversation with them when they get here. That would be what I would do. I'm not saying what you did was wrong. I'm just saying, I don't know. I feel like I'm more lenient in the like shit happens kind of thing.
Historically, we've been more on Dylan's side of things. I think maybe sometimes to a fault, but we've had people that have had that situation and maybe even had a problem with it, like for longer than we should have tolerated it, but then have come around and become super valuable staff members, call outs, and again, through communication and trying to sit down with them and be like, hey, like Dylan, like what is going on? Is there something we could do? Can we change your schedule a little bit? If we have the flexibility to do it, we'll try to do it. Or usually, and I think again, it's also probably their personality. If they're actually seem sorry about it, if they're being kind of dickhead,
right.
it, then it's like, well, no.
I think the different situation, or what's different about this, was that it was their first 2 weeks. And so you're right. Like if somebody's been here for a couple of years and all of a sudden they no call, no show, they're not terminated. But
Well, we've had someone
I would say,
a working mom in their first 2 weeks, single mom, and something happened with a kid and this, and she just forgot to call, and these type, we have a lot of people that are maybe single parents or whatever, or they're here in the neighborhood and they work, and we have flexible schedules to begin with. So we kind of tout that we like to have flexibility with our schedules. So we try to do that, and we just really impart on them to like make sure they call. And maybe they haven't had enough experience, and sometimes they're young and they just don't even think of it like that. They just thought, oh, I was late. They don't realize that after an hour it's technically no call, no show. And oftentimes those people will come around, and if they don't, then I think that's when you're like, okay, forget you. Like, we tried,
sure,
but we still have to operate.
I just think that this is a common problem in a lot of shops, having people show up on time, and we never have that problem. It's pretty rare. And we do try to be flexible, of course. I mean, I always try, but if and I'm very flexible if you call, if you're like, hey, shit's going on, I have car trouble or whatever it is, even if it's a lie, at least you call so that we can make a plan. And so I think that if it becomes a pattern about somebody, with somebody who's been here a while, then we do basically what Dylan said, is like, hey, I noticed this has been happening and you've been late a lot recently, and you go on probation for 30 days and I can't have it happen anymore. And if it does, then that could result in termination. And so we have a process for that.
You ask for the reason, like why you want to know why they're late.
Generally no, but they usually have one. And so I just think that it's a tough one. And if you set precedent early and that this isn't tolerated, then I think that you have a lot better success with people showing up on time.
I'm going to apologize and backtrack my statement a little bit, and I'm going to say that I'm probably I'm not going to say probably. I am too lenient when it comes to that stuff. I should be, I feel like, 50% the way I am and 50% the way you are, and I should be more on them for it, because my problem is that with me being so lenient, it gets taken advantage of. Like, they'll know, okay, it's not that big of a deal if I'm 10 minutes late a couple days a week, or, it's not that big a deal if I'm this or that, or, I could not yell at them for like fucking around in the office. And then I see all the time that they're just constantly fucking around the office because they're like, well, I've never been yelled at for it before. So I think you just being like right off the bat, like, hey, this fucking can't happen.
Yeah.
Then they know, like, hey, this fucking can't happen. So
yeah, I think you're right about that, because it can get, if everyone just does whatever they feel like, it can turn into a real quagmire.
Yeah.
Yep.
So you're not wrong.
You're just wrong.
I felt kind of like, oh, maybe I was a little too harsh there, but I think that we did put it to vote, and I did that for the reason, I had never tried that before, but with the department manager there and everybody else in the department, we voted for it. I thought I was really interested how everybody else thought, because I didn't want them to think that either it was too harsh or not harsh enough. And here's the situation. What do you guys think? And I thought it sort of empowered everybody, which was pretty cool. And I also got some good feedback,
I feel like you should have done it just like Survivor. You should have got tiki torches and they could have like
would have been fun.
Cuffed them out.
Would have been fun.
Did you consider not being involved in the decision at all?
Do you mean have them vote when I wasn't there? Just
anonymous?
Like
let them decide, and you're not involved.
Like, go to the manager of that area and be like, hey, you handle this.
Wow. Yeah. I don't think many people are prepared to terminate somebody or not. Like if they actually have to do the termination, there's no fucking way. Most people aren't.
Well, why don't you say, you let me know how you want to handle it or something. And then if it's termination or something they're uncomfortable with, then you can step in and be like, hey, we decided it's just not a good fit. And, learn how to dial a phone.
Right.
dickhead.
Well, I like the ones where they're like, I didn't know the phone number. I'm like, you didn't know the phone number. It's 2022, homie. Like, there's so many.
Google it.
Yeah.
You're on your phone all day anyway at work. You can't figure out how to fucking call the company you work for.
Right. But maybe just go over to the manager and be like, hey, set the policy. This we don't want XYZ, and say, I'll let you handle how you want to handle this. Talk to him. And then maybe he talks or they talk to him and they're like, hey, it's fine. Don't worry about it. I talk to them. We shouldn't have a problem. And then if you see the problem keep happening, go back to the manager and be like, well, what are you doing to resolve it? Because otherwise they're not going to learn how to deal with those things. And then you're always going to dealing with them.
Right. I think another thing to consider is that in the state of Missouri, I'm not sure how it is in New York, but in the state of Missouri, as far as unemployment goes, you have 28 days to terminate somebody here before you are, it's on your account. In other words, like if it's on day 29, then it's on our account.
You should have fucking led with that.
Well, it's an important, but it's different everywhere. And so you have to remember.
I know, but I'm just saying that makes way more sense if you're like, hey, like I need to figure this shit out if they're going to be reliable or not now. Because by 28 days, I didn't think of that. I didn't think of that point, Dylan. But yeah, that's part of it, right?
But if that person came in and was killing it for 2 weeks and then had one day, you're not going to fire them. You're going to be like, no, this guy. The same thing as like firing the person and bringing them back. You're like, this guy stabbed me this morning, but like he is crushed. He press like
right. He's so fucking good on press.
I can't.
But like, I mean, he didn't hit like a main artery or anything. Like, we'll be fine.
Just a flesh wound. Like. What?
Right, it's totally fine.
I mean that's really true. You decide how much you can tolerate or what you can put up with for a lot of times, and sometimes you sort of what you said earlier, Tony. You said that you've been too slow to fire. You don't want to be too quick to hire and slow to fire. Is that what it is? You want to be slower to hire and quicker to fire. Maybe that's the saying, and so sometimes I've definitely been guilty of having somebody stay way too long, and they should have gone way earlier, and I didn't do it, and I regret that. And I tried to, I said to myself, like, I'm not going to let that happen again.
Right.
Another thing is I should say is that as far as that no call, no show, it's in our employee handbook. I mean, so they have to sign that on day one, when they fill out everything else. Whether it's the taxes, the I-9, all that stuff, right? They fill out, they're supposed to read. I tell them they can have a few days. So I give them the employee handbook and I'm like, read this. And on the last page, we tear that out, sign it, and I put it in your file. And so, I mean, everything's there.
I think for small shop listening, because I know I talked to a lot of small shops on Instagram. I think it's easy for me now. We just had our 15-year anniversary. It's easy for me now to be like, no, I'd fire them on the first day, whatever, walks in, I'll fire him again, whatever, like I've made every exception that could be made. I've whatever it took to get the jobs to the customers in time to their standard, like dealing with dickheads, dealing with people that have terrible attendance. I've done it all. Like, I don't think there's a right. I will say things in a way that sounds like I'm telling you the right way to do it, but I've literally done everything. And I would say to anyone that's a shop listening, like, you got to do what feels right to you in that time, and just hope that it doesn't ultimately bite you in the butt. And then if it does, just make sure you're learning and moving forward, because there's going to be that time where you got to get 5,000 shirts out, and you're going to have to stand next to that dickhead all day and pull shirts and just let him be a dickhead and just try to ignore him and use all of your powers to just get this job done, and then I can get away from this person. But we've done it all. I think the little bit of luxury with our size now and our age and our revenue is we can be more choosy, and we can be, I don't want to become so rigid that we're like a Walmart of rules, but I also can't do it like I did when we were 5 people. Like, so I think you can add that as you go along, like a piece of equipment, you add your HR component as you build up.
Mm-hmm. That was one thing I really wanted to touch on, and I'm glad you brought it up, is your 15-year anniversary. So congrats on that.
Thank you.
And tell us a little bit about your bash. It looked like a big fucking thing.
We had about 400 to 600 people. I don't exactly know.
Wow.
On our team, organized the whole thing. We collaborated with Wall Therapy to do a big mural on our courtyard. We had a bounce house. We had chicken out, local chicken guys. We had Peels on Wheels, do pizza. We had all the local breweries we bought some brews from, so we had free beers. We had the bonfire going at night. It was like the neighborhood people came out. Our customers came out, all the walls. It was the best party we've had ever. And people just hung out.
It's awesome.
Everyone got along. Kids were distracted by the bounce house. It was just great times.
And you had to do it when I was out of town.
Yes. I said he's out of town.
Cool.
Do it. Pull the trigger.
You did call me and invite me, and I was like, and I'm going to be out of town. So that's
this is perfect because that goes to our first listener question from Lake Ontario Press. How much did all that fried chicken cost?
I actually don't know. I did not ask, but I can tell you that the fried chicken was probably much more than the ice cream truck, and the ice cream truck cost $1,000. And it did 170 ice creams in about an hour and a half or something like that.
Yeah. I do want to mention that there's a new thing on Instagram. If you don't follow us on Instagram, you should, at Shirt Show Official. But I'm going to post on Wednesdays who the next guest is going to be, and you can put in listener questions for the guest. So that's what me and Andy are referring to right now is we have some comments that were questions for Tony. So
yeah.
The next one is, I want to know if budget was not a factor. An embroidery / heat press shop currently outsourcing screen printing wants to bring it in house. Get a manual or a small auto and be competing with everyone else, or go straight to a hybrid digital to be unique in my area. In other words, is it possible to still learn the ropes without growing up the usual way with the process?
And this one is from Mike Moldo.
So I guess if you have an unlimited budget, would you learn to screen print, or would you go digital and skip screen printing?
I thought about this one too for a minute. Dylan, do you want to go first? Tony's frozen in time over there.
I don't know if he's there or not. Hey, bud.
Well, technical difficulties. My phone overheated.
Nice. Is it all right now?
I'm not. I had it on one of these magnet chargers, and it. That was such a big looming question that involves so many different things that I just tried to ban.
Did you hear the question?
I did.
Okay.
I read it, and I was like, "Should I start answering these on?" What's
that's what was funny is I fucking posted this thing, and then I look at the comments, and I'm like, Tony's fucking answering the goddamn questions already.
I didn't answer it. I should have said this Zoom call could have been an email.
So I guess would you, if you were starting fresh and you had a limited budget, would you invest in screen printing, or would you go with digital and go that route? I guess that's my gist of what this question is.
To me,
no, I don't
need more information, don't you?
I think what he is asking is, he's currently an embroidery and a heat press shop, right? And he's thinking about adding screen printing. And should he do just add a manual? Should he add an auto, or should he go to hybrid? And I think he's hesitant to go straight to hybrid because that requires the learning curve is bigger, right? Because you'd have to know how to screen print before you can just set up a job and print digitally. I would think that anyway. And my answer to this is really, really simple. It would be like, don't do any of those things. Just be an embroidery heat transfer person, and then job out the rest of it. I mean, why would you?
It sounds like that's what he's doing, right? Because he said bring it back in house. He wants to bring it back in house.
Yeah. You're right. So he's currently outsourcing screen printing. Why would you want to bring all of that in? I would focus on what I was really, really good at if I had to start over and budget wasn't a factor. And I would just go all in on embroidery and continue to job out the screen printing. And heat press.
I agree with you on that. But I think that if you had an unlimited budget and you were like, oh, I want to skip ahead to just doing embroidery, to be like, oh, I have a G3 with a digital squeegee on it, you're going to fuck up so hard because you have no previous knowledge. Like, there's so many variables and so many things you would need to know in order to do that. So that's what, to me, when I read the question, was kind of like, well, do I invest in screen printing or do I do digital? Because I feel like nowadays, if you had the money and you were like, I want to start a company and do it, it's like you got to think about Amazon. Like they have the unlimited budget. And you know what they did? They went right to being like, hey, we're going to run 1,000 cornets. And we're just going
I
to.
think it depends on the business model, though. Like Amazon's going 1,000 cornets because they're doing all print on demand.
Right.
Like if the guy is sending out, so he has a customer base, right? He's got embroidery, he's got heat press. If his customers are like, yo, man, I got this, I need 500 shirts. I need 500 shirts. And he keeps getting these orders for 500 shirts.
Right. He's going to want screen printing.
Right. If he's like, every weekend I'm getting funeral shirts and family vacation shirts.
Funeral shirts?
Yeah, funeral shirts. You guys don't get funeral shirts?
No.
God,
Never in my
Rochester's,
life.
Tony's got a weird market. He's got a weird niche up there.
You don't get them down there, Andy? Funeral shirts?
I mean, occasionally there's a memorial shirt. Like if somebody,
Yeah, memorial shirt.
That's
yeah.
not the same as a funeral shirt.
hey, we're having a funeral. Let's all
I just
get
picture
t-shirts.
Disney moms with shirts at a funeral.
They do.
All right, it's
We
weird.
do memorial
Rochester
shirts.
tradition.
Like there's like a bike ride, like
Yeah.
motorcycle
That's
rally
different.
ride for
That's
a
not
person, and they all get
shirts at a
shirts for
funeral.
memorial. Yeah, it's funeral shirts. But I think that well, number one, would we all agree? Don't go straight to digital. For if you've never screen printed before, is that a mistake?
No, I don't know.
Hybrid.
Might be the right
That's
thing to
what I
do. That
Go
depends on
straight
his-
to hybrid.
No, I
Sure.
wouldn't go hybrid.
I mean, I don't know what's his customers. We need more. We need to call this guy up. Get him on the-
I agree.
Here's a crazy notion. We've been in business for 13 years, have 3 autos, and we're not hybrid shop.
Well, we might be idiots.
It's true. That is very true.
There you go.
I think I
That's
agree.
like-
I think I agree with
Questions
Tony
answered.
that the answer to this question is what is your market? Because the reason why we have what we have is because of the markets we're in. So
Right. I mean, I built my customers on screen print. If I started with hybrid, maybe I'd only go shopping for hybrid customers. I don't know.
right. Okay. Next question.
I had a guy recently install a floor. He was installing a floor somewhere, and it was one of these floated floors that you click together, and he starts nailing it down. I go, hey, homie, you don't nail those floors down. He goes, I've been doing this for 25 years. I was like, well, you're doing it wrong for 25 years. That's a floated floor. Like you click it together and it floats. But my point is, like, we've been screen printing for 15 years. There's a lot of new stuff out there. I don't know. Like,
Well, that's true.
Yeah.
But that's true. But we just also talked about, the difficulty of rotation and employees and all of this stuff. And there's inflation, and then there's sourcing of items, and then there's recession, and then all of these things. You're telling me that, you just go, never done it before. You're outsourcing with success, I'm assuming, and now you're just going to go spend this money, hire a bunch of people who's going to train you? Who's going to train the people? No way.
I'll say this glass is half empty, and if he puts his mind to it, Andy, and he fills it up incrementally, he can do whatever the hell he wants.
Yeah, and he said unlimited budget.
Okay,
Yeah.
I'm not saying that. Who is it? I'm not saying Mike can't do it. I'm sure he's fully capable, and he'd probably be more successful than me.
No, that's exactly what you were saying. You said this guy cannot do it. There's no fucking way.
My point is this: I wouldn't do it anyway.
Well,
what
great.
do I know?
Yeah, okay.
But listen,
Next.
my podcast next year called Hybrid Show, and he's gonna have YouTube, and he's going to be like a
That's right.
world going around on a yacht. He's
Well,
going to do it. From the
Good for
deck.
him.
Right.
I wish him the best.
Okay.
What's the next question?
My point
Dylan,
to Mike. My point to Mike is figure out your customer blend, figure out what it is you need, and then look for the right tools to meet the customer demand. But don't go buy a bunch of screen print equipment and then go try to find the customers. It sounds like he has them. Figure out what they need, and then if you want to bring that in-house, bring that in.
Beautiful. Good answer, Tony.
See, Tony always has the right answer.
Right. It always
Evergood
comes in hot.
Supply, he's coming with, have you ever failed a client resulting in them not returning? And then the part B to it is knowing there was more you could have done.
Yes.
Definitely.
Yeah, I mean, we did
Yes,
recently.
definitely.
Yeah, I usually because I believe that I can fill my glass. they walk in with this empty glass, and I'll go, yeah, I'll do that. No, totally, we can. So a good one was swell bottles. So that, I don't know if you remember those for a long time, the insulated bottles. I went to a trade show and they were set up there, and I looked at the print. I was like, oh wow, this print's terrible. I was like, you guys, we could definitely do a better job. And we had never printed anything round at the time. So we got all set up and we got the account and we started printing swell bottles for a long time, but it just kept, the prints were fine, but the rest of the relationship, we weren't really ready for a level of relationship and professionalism and all the stuff that came with that relationship. And we lost the account. That one, then even very recently, a couple of weeks ago, I told someone that we probably could do something that we had never done before. It was involved gluing some rocks to a shirt and all this. I don't even know why I said we could do it. But anyway, we didn't do it and we couldn't do it. And I never got around to doing it. And we let the customer down and they went somewhere else and took the rest of their business with them. Usually when I bite off more than I can chew.
I think that's the good lesson is usually it's something that you're not fully confident in and you take and you do. And then, that happened to us a lot when we were a smaller company and we were just taking on jobs because we wanted to take on anything and everything. And like you said, and then we didn't do that great of a job or we didn't know how to print a certain technique or whatever we thought we did. And then the customer got it and it didn't look good, feel good, or it washed off or whatever it was. And then later on you learn, you're like, oh yeah, I realized what I did wrong. It's really hard to get that customer back because they have a super bad taste in their mouth from you fucking their order up in the first place. So
I think that's definitely one way, and that's happened to us. I also think there's lots of other ways we failed clients and they've left. I think there's probably
obviously
a lot of clients that have left, that we failed and have left that we don't even know about, because we're not good at reaching out or trying to get feedback and or doing quarterly reviews, with our top 25, let's say. And so I think we want to do more of that. That's for sure. So that we can prevent that sort of thing and do catch it before it is too late, let's say. But I think that, I don't know, man, I think that some of your, I don't know, somebody take this. I'll be right back.
He's going to go away. All right.
I just think it's always us biting off more than we can chew, or in the early years when we first started out, we were still printing manually. We were working for this brand called Kill Brand, who's been around forever. And we took on his whole Bamboozle, if you guys remember Bamboozle at all, but we took on his whole Bamboozle order, and it was really tight timeline, and it was really big prints, especially back then. It was from the collar all the way down. Oversized. It was all checkered pattern. It was crazy. The registration was really tight. So we're like, yeah, we'll do it. No problem. Right? So we start setting it up. We're printing it all night. Our wooden pallets start warping from the heat being built up. So then we're printing with half inch, trying to get that half an inch gap. Then we set up a desk with some clamps on it. The whole job was a total disaster. We show up and he looked at us like we were a bunch of idiots. And he's like, I know what bad registration is. This is awful. I was like, you're right. And we ate the whole job. But it's usually something like that. Or like Andy said, we don't know. Maybe we got outbid on something. But as far as letting them down, I think it's the ones that come to mind are those type of situations where we just took on more than we should have. Dylan saying, especially in the early years, where we're like, yeah, I'll print on glass. Yeah, I'll print on metal. Yeah, I'll print on flat stock was a huge fail for us. We stopped doing flat stock altogether. We used to do these 13, 14 color flat stock jobs, all water-based. We got a passport press. We had it set up. We were printing flat stock, racking it, doing that whole thing. And, we'd get 400 posters into the thing. We'd have a color we didn't notice that had leaked out or something. And anyway, that went on for that mistake went on for 3 or 4 years before we finally
just said fuck
got
it.
our wits back. Yeah, we said fuck it. And we messed up a poster job last year for a big toy company, and it was these 1,800 posters that had to go to Hong Kong. And I was like, wait a minute, nothing registers? We could totally do this on our oval press. And I came up with this whole, not oval press, on our regular circle press. So I ended up making this whole jig and these sticky pads and doing the paper, and I think I ended up for 1,800 posters. I think I ended up printing like 4,000 sheets of paper. And then when they got it in Hong Kong, like 8 months later, by the time they QC'd it, they're like, "Yo, like 1,000 of these suck," and they got like ink on the back or something. So we ended up just having to refund the whole thing, and we haven't worked with that customer since.
Yeah.
That was last year. So
It's always good. All right.
I think sometimes push the edge because you can learn a lot in those edges. We've definitely had the other side of the scenario where we've overpromised, achieved, and learned and become better by it. Our hybrid printing was because we were printing for a contract printer that only offered hybrid printing. It's kind of a big name in the hybrid world. So we were their back end, and we didn't know how to do it when we took it on. But our discharge underbase, high color count top stuff that we're kind of synonymous for now was all from us just kind of overcommitting in the beginning.
I would say that, though, you're right, is that I feel like you definitely become a better business and a better printer, even though it does suck to let that customer down. It's definitely educational because you figure out what works and what doesn't. And like you said, gets you in an uncomfortable new space, but then you become good at that space.
Are you saying that sometimes you have to go through some of those things in order to improve? Or are you saying that sometimes you have to go through some of those things to know that you should have never really do those?
Both.
I mean, why? Yeah, I would say, yeah, both for sure, because we've had.
It's just a learning experience.
We just don't mess with that anymore, though. I mean, I found that like, hey, we're really good at these sort of things right here, and I don't want to. I mean, maybe it's bad of me, but I don't want to learn other methods. Honestly, I don't want to go outside of like what we do really, really well. I mean, why would I want to do that? Why would I want to stay in our lane that I know I can go really fast in? Unless, of course, we're looking for work. I mean, that's a whole different story, I suppose. But if like we're good,
I'm always petrified that one day the work's not going to be there. So one, I have the growth for the people in the cycle that are trying to learn and trying to better, get in a better position. So I want to make sure the company's always growing. But I think I always kind of say yes, maybe out of some deep fear that like, I'm not going to have work for 48 people. And a lot of these people are trying to move up the ladder themselves and get in a better situation. So we just end up taking on a lot. But that being said, we certainly mess up a lot in that trying to take on. So we've gotten a little better over the years, but I think we still try to maybe push because I think there's a lot of value and like there's a lot of opportunity where the problems are, where other people aren't doing things.
Right.
That's where all the potential upside can be if you are successful.
I went to this really great restaurant in California last week, and they're really great at Italian food. It was delicious stuff. Do you think if I said, "Hey, I really feel like tacos right now, make me one," would it be a mistake? Would it be a mistake for them to make tacos because they'd fuck it up and I'd never come back and say this place?
That's not the same. That's not the same.
Why isn't it the same? Because they're really good at. Why would they go off menu to make
That's
me
like me.
something
The analogy you just gave me is like if someone came in here and was like, "Hey, I need a tooth pulled. Will you pull a tooth?" It's fucking two totally different things.
That would be like going to an eye doctor and saying, "I need a tooth pulled." They're both doctors.
Okay. Regardless, our analogy of what me and Tony are saying is that if you went to an Italian restaurant and they had good Italian food, but the guy in the back wanted to learn a new method to making homemade pasta or a different dish that he's never done before, and then they can add that to the menu, and then all the other Italian restaurants in town don't have this dish. It sets you apart because people want to come to you because you offer Italian food and this special dish that nobody else has.
Wrong.
That's exactly it.
No,
what Dylan and I are saying is you're at your Italian restaurant. In comes me with the Rosetta Stone of the original pasta recipe from Sicily. It's no one's ever even seen this pasta before. And I go, hey, go back there and try this pasta, just like Dylan described. Now they've recreated the Old Testament's pasta that everyone from around New York City is thriving. Or they mess it all up. And what's worst thing that happens? They throw one bowl of pasta out. But if you're successful, you
have that beautiful.
All right, guys. Well, I don't do poster printing here, and if somebody came and asked me to do poster printing, I'm not going to do poster printing.
Yeah, but the thing is you're not wrong, and we're not wrong. It's just two totally different things. Like I might want to learn a new method just because I want to learn a new method, and I could add it to my
I say
toolbox.
you shouldn't. I say
I
you
understand,
shouldn't.
and that's fine because you just want to stay in your lane and be good at what you're good at and be known for what you're known for. I'm saying I might be that way, but I might also look at things of like, yeah, but I want to level up to this, or I want to offer this other thing because the market that I'm going after could use that. If the market that you have is fine, then fuck it.
I can't remember
the
the saying. How does it go? You remind me how the saying goes. Jack of all trades, master of what is it? I can't remember. Anyway, want to go to the next question?
Yeah, but the end part of that saying is that it's better than fucking. None of us know the saying.
Quick, a jack of all trades is a master of none, but a master of none is something of one. But anyway,
it's better than one.
Yeah, better than one. Yes, but a master of none is better than a master of one, or some whatever. My point is, Night Owl Printing was talking about doing poster printing. So my advice to him was, don't do it. But he may do it, and he may do it way better than us. But when I was trying to do this poster print on our press, I ended up ordering these gel pads from Amazon, the ones that hold your phone onto your dashboard. So, and I stuck those on our press, and I used that to hold the paper down. I was like, holy crap, this stuff works really well. This could probably work to hold a shirt. Well, I never went about doing anything, but I've been seeing recently there's some guy on Instagram who did just that. He ordered he had custom made sheets of like this that silicone material that you would use, and he's pitching it as a way to hold down your shirt without adhesives or anything. And I saw he was at but I was like, man, but I think you have to go into these unknowns because you only do what's safe eventually.
Yeah. It's funny.
There's no right way, but I like to go into that world because for us, that's how we got all our high color simulated process stuff.
Exactly.
Made us the ours because if we didn't venture,
but if you didn't do that, you would just be another plastisol screen printer in Rochester.
Right.
It's funny you mentioned those pads though, because Christina was talking about that too. She was like, "Oh, I have this idea. I wonder if this would work because you just get them wet or whatever, and then it clear all the shit off and it's sticky again. You never have to add glue."
Right now, and I keep meaning to try to order them, but my point is, I got there and I tried it and it didn't really work, and it actually worked pretty good for the paper. But maybe Eric and Night Owl is smarter than us, and he has a different press setup, and his humidity is different, and maybe he can successfully do the poster print. So it's not enough to say it won't work. It may work for you, and if you can make it work in your environment, then you have a competitive advantage. So the one that I failed the customer on was not so much because I couldn't figure it out. I didn't do it.
You didn't know yet.
Well, I didn't do it, but if I had actually stopped and tried to work it, we were basically trying to glue these crystals on a shirt. So it was people that are all into crystals and they put them near their body and it heals everything. They wanted to do crystals on a shirt. They have a huge lifestyle brand. They have resorts all over the world. So if we had been able to pull it off, or if I had focused the time and energy on it, it could have been hundreds of thousands of dollars, $1 million opportunity. I don't know. Maybe I would have learned something else and I would become the new, pasta primavera guy. But there's opportunity where there's struggle.
I agree with you. Okay, next question. Corey from Floodway asked, how would you handle bonuses? But he also asked, how do you make sure your team always has fresh challenges? Well, we talked about that with the rotation. And then bonuses are just kind of its own thing, I guess. We don't have to
dive now we do quarterly bonuses for the whole team. Based on net profits. So right now we're doing 7% of net profits get split between leads, get one portion. All the rest of the QC team people get another. We're going to roll it out a little different for sales soon. So they'll get 3% of the net profit. So then that will be 10% of our net goes out in bonuses. And that was kind of set up that way. One, to try to coalesce the team. Not only are you rotating, but we're all trying to work together in this effort over the next year or two to really get it. So we're everyone's working together and they have goals. So all this stuff will be on the wall so they can see how is the bonus trending this month. It's a slow build up, but we do bonuses as a % of net profit is the easy answer.
Okay. Jeff Pads asks, how much effort does your sales team put towards outbound sales versus inbound sales? Have you seen a direct correlation between outbound sales and growth rate?
So our sales team does not do any outside sales. It's all inbound and nurturing. So Sandy, who's in charge of our sales team, like she would say, she's constantly trying to help customers get from kind of that B level customer to that A level customer. Like, what can we do to help them meet their goals?
Right.
But they are not accountable to go cold call. We don't do any emailing. That would be more me, I guess. Like, I'm the more outbound type salesperson. So I'm the one going out. I'm the one on Instagram, like, hey, you guys need some shirts or whatever. At this point now, we've done so many events and all this stuff. We have a lot of just kind of organic growth. But when we have like 3 or 4 outbound events, I'll be at the events. Maybe we'll have a marketing person back on the team by then. So they would go to the events with us, or they would take the event completely on their own. But the sales team is only inbound.
We've talked about this a bunch of times before, but that's kind of how both of us were, as far as like, I was the one always looking for new stuff. Everyone I have here is just customer service, really, and all they're doing is inbound stuff, and just organic growth that way. My problem is I'm not in a big city, so when it gets slow, it gets real slow because I have nobody looking for anything. So one thing that I did to kind of answer this question is I hired Kevin Baumgart from Set Sales to come in and basically train my customer service staff on doing outbound with what we currently are doing and what we're currently offering. It's working out really well so far. We should be done this week, and then we can start hitting it hard next week. But basically the goal is for them to come in, do their normal inbound, and then when they're done with inbound, do outbound, and then so on. So if they're doing it daily, if they're like, okay, I'm doing inbound from 9 a.m. to 2 p.m. and from 2 to 5 every day is outbound, then we should see growth in, new stuff that comes in. So that's the plan. We'll see how it goes.
Our idea was always to try and do everything to promote organic growth. So make our inbound experience so pleasant for people that they would tell someone about us. Get our box looking a certain way, do our Instagram, do our website a certain way, have
Right.
and just try to go above and beyond in that way. And I think Dylan and I were the same, but it's always tough because you do want, when they're slow. We've had times in the past where we've had them cold email people if we're really slow, but it's been far and few between because I'd prefer to do the sales myself personally and try to get the new people in and then just pass them off to the sales team who's going to do much better. I feel like I'm pretty good at getting them in the door. They're much better at keeping them here.
Oh yeah, for sure. Me too. Same thing. I get them in, I get the deal pretty much done, and then I'm like, hey, here's this person who's going to handle you from here on out, because I suck at that. Did you do
100%.
something different with your phone? Because you sound more muffled now.
Yes, I put it back on the charger because my battery's dying.
Oh.
How about now?
You're way better now.
Okay.
All right, 2 more quick questions. Just started using UFO screen printing says, just started using thin thread in my manual shop. Screens clear nice and good ink deposits, but I feel like my prints are a little thicker, particularly jobs with underbase or PFP white. Do you adjust your mesh choices when using hydro, or are there jobs where you won't use it? Andy, do you want to answer this question? Because you're the thin thread go-to.
Let's see. So yes, thin thread has a larger percentage open area. You're going to put down more ink. And so on a PFP, we use, when you have 2 white screens, right, we use our underbase is 1 mesh, and the top color is a higher mesh. And so we only have thin thread here. We don't even have a standard mesh option. And so it's always thin thread. And so we addressed ink deposit with mesh count. That's like the best answer. And usually your mesh count at least goes up 1 on everything from the time we switched from standard to thin, everything bumped up 1
Yeah,
thread count.
that's pretty much
sure.
what I would say too. Is you're definitely going to want to pick different meshes depending on what you're doing. I wouldn't be like, oh, I used to use 110 standard, I'm going to use a 110.
Oh, we don't even have one.
No, I know, but I'm just saying, like, if you were a manual shop using even if it was a 156 standard mesh, using a 156 hydro is going to be a lot more ink going down. So maybe it up it to a 230.
We don't use hydro. So we just modulate the screen based on what it is halftone we want to hold, and also same type of things you guys are doing with hydro, but we just don't use hydro. We use regular old standard mesh because we're really clumsy with our meshes and we rip them a lot, and hydro tends to rip even more. And we've just been happy with what we can achieve with our standard, so we just never saw the need to fully jump
Yeah,
over.
there's nothing wrong with it. It's just different things. So
I mean, there's definitely, I think for hoodies and stuff, it can be really powerful stuff. We just haven't needed. I haven't had a case where I really need it, or at least feel like we need it. But I've seen some awesome stuff, and I know a lot of people love it. So,
okay. Last question.
Hydro is a whole thing. I would say real quick, hydro is a whole thing. You can't just buy hydro and then plug it into the system that you're using and think it's going to be the same, because every single variable changes when you use hydro, and you have to have a goal in mind of why you're even bringing it in your shop. And so it's a whole thing. We could do a show on it, in fact. And so that's a hard question to answer, other than our standard way to print is right now 158 on the underbase, 180 on the next white, the second white. And that's on fleece, we go down a little bit. But anyway, next question, Dylan. I think it's the
last question is Inked Up Graphics as documenting jobs and print specs. Who does it? How do you do it? How do you make sure reprints are exactly the same as the last time? Every variable seems to affect the outcome of the print. Speaking specifically to sim process, do you record every detail down to the squeegee duro and angle and make sure prints run the same every time? The easy answer is yes. We document the Pantones. We document how many passes we did on the squeegee, flashes, everything, because you want to be able to take that exact same formula and do it again the next time. So if you were to go off of your standard, flood speed or print speed or passes or flash sequence, you want to document that so that next time we had to, PFP this, or we had to do 2 passes on this blue, or we had to speed up the squeegee on this, or whatever it was. Like, you want to know that because it's going to change the way it looks. So yeah, the answer is to document everything.
Who does that for you? So they also, in that question, they say, who on your team actually does the documentation?
Usually it's the press assistant.
And what are they plugging it into?
We're just doing everything. No, we're just doing everything on our calendar. So if you go to the calendar for the last time we printed that job, or the current time you're printing that job, it's in the notes of like whatever you did. So that way, when Brian knows the reprint, he'll put those notes on the new job, so that every time it's got notes for whatever we did for that job.
Gotcha. Yeah, I mean, because we struggled with that because we have all of the basics on the proof, and so we know that. But when it comes down to something like print order on a 9 color, because you may go into that job, we found anyway, we may go into a 9 color job with one print order, but it would have worked way better in a different print order, and it's just faster to run the job wrong, let's say, and then set it up differently next time. And so that's really important, is to be able to document that thing right there, because otherwise you're going to waste time when you set it up 6 months later or whatever like that. Or also, if your print order, it happens to change, it will look very different. And we replaced an order recently because we had left that job, that role of who's going to document this, up to somebody, and that somebody was gone, sick. And so we skipped that process, printed a job with the wrong print order, and fucked it up and had to redo it. And so here's what we do now. And this is for a giant customer, though. So I'm not sure that you would always do this, but for this certain customer, we're actually printing an original, so an actual shirt.
Yeah, Tony does
hanging it on a rack. We're hanging it on a rack with our print order and the proof in it. How is it? It's kind of it's kind of in a, it's in a clear, what are those called? Sheet protectors. And so we actually have a rack right now that's building. I suppose there's probably like 40 shirts on that rack at this point. And that shirt will be presented at the end of the dryer at final approval.
Yeah, we do that
Tony,
too.
are you
with
walking
large
over
jobs.
to your rack or something?
Yeah, so if the art department here decides that something is complicated enough, and we think we might have to do it again, we have we hold a sample, so it's all alphabetical. So this wall here is all samples. We try to like weed them out if we've had them over a certain amount of time. We keep the sheet, the press sheet with them. I don't know if you can see that. Then if things are changed, they'll make notes. The press operators will make the notes and tell the art department. But we also have like back stock of that. And then if it's the big customers, and we will actually box them up and like label the boxes, what's in them for back storage. A couple of years sometimes, and then we'll eventually we get rid of them. We'll just tell the
You'll
customer.
purge after.
Yeah, we'll tell the customer, hey, we'll send them the Google sheet and say, hey, here's all the stuff we have. Do you want these, or can we just get rid of them, or do you think you're going to print any of these soon?
I see.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, that's it for questions. Do you want to hop into quick
We go
takes?
to quick takes.
Yeah.
Yeah. So Tony, you ready?
I'm ready for you.
All right. You're just on a walk. You're getting your steps in.
Go ahead.
I was looking to see if I could find a charger. I've had a lot of technical difficulties on this.
This whole episode's been technical difficulties, so you're fine.
All right. So one thing that helps you get through the day.
I get up, I get some coffee, so that's always good. Breakfast, I'll usually go to breakfast in the morning. Getting that breakfast in there first thing at a diner where I'm kind of like away from the house, away from the family stuff, away from the office stuff, because usually when I walk in, it's like one thing, whatever the latest fire is. So I would say getting to the diner in the morning and just like being able to chill out for an hour or so before starting the day is one thing that gets me through the day. But I don't really have trouble getting through the day. I don't dread like the day or anything. So.
It is nice to just have that alone time in the morning, though.
Yeah, I have a 3-year-old and a 3-month-old, and right now, currently, I'm living in RV because we're tearing our house apart. So getting out of the RV, getting not in the office, and having like one place where I can just go and let my mind wander, whether it be work or not work or whatever, is refreshing.
All right, Tony, 2 presses or 10 presses?
10.
I knew you were going to say that.
I knew it too. He was the first one that said 10.
He's a go big or go home guy.
I think 2 is harder than 10. I don't know. I think as we've gotten our systems together and as things have gone smoother and as I've learned to trust the team more and as we've gotten the right team members in, it's way easier for this shop now with 4 autos and 4 autos, a manual, 2 rapid tags, 7 heat presses, DTG, fulfillment, art, the full art department, all the stuff that the sewing, the whole sewing department. We got 5 sewing machines, the whole sewing team. It's the folding, the bagging, all the things we do is probably easier now than when we were 1 or 2 autos and we were trying to do it all ourselves and be involved in every decision.
Right.
Being this size has forced me to be a better owner, I guess, in that sense, where I'm letting other people. And now at this size, I'm surprised every day at how much more creative everyone else is than I am, or they come up and they do something way better than I would have done it, or make a decision that is a better decision than what I would have made. So I don't see any reason why we can't be 10 or 100 at this point if we keep improving our systems and mutual accountability between us and the staff.
I agree.
Test the waters or dive in the deep end.
Well, I mean, we know the answer to that. You got to
Dive
dive on
hard
it.
into the deep end. Mm-hmm.
You got to go first. You got to make a fool of yourself. You got to just dive on it. Just don't go head first because you don't want to hit the bottom and break your neck. But I say I usually get into things way faster than I probably should, but I don't ever see that changing. So I say just go for it. Actually, and that's, I will talk to a lot of people that are looking to start a business. And I'll usually just tell them, just start. Like, they'll spend so much time, like, at least at our level of businesses, small screen print shops, generally speaking, we're writing business plans, going for funding, trying to move markets, be disruptor. Like, we're trying to do something that's pretty well established. We're trying to do it better than the next guy. I think just many times you can just go in and because you don't know what you don't know, and you got to get in there and start making mistakes.
I like it. Good answer, Tony.
Flats or drums for the chicken wings?
I don't eat meat, so neither.
I forgot about that. If you were, but you're from, oh no, you're not even from Buffalo. Never mind. So, but if you were,
Andy asks this question. This is his list.
yeah.
I'll give you guys I think people should try out the corn. It's corn chicken, fake chicken. It's really good. Give it a shot.
There you go.
Okay. Andy, finish her off.
What's for dinner tonight?
Probably some sort of fast, maybe Chinese food. I think. Again, we are living in an RV in my driveway, and we don't have very good cooking stuff. So I'll probably just do some sort of Chinese order out, tofu, veggie tofu, something or other.
Nice.
Yeah.
All right. Well, Tony, again, thank you for coming on with us. Thanks for making it through these technical difficulties and
Well, they're mostly
overheating your
mine,
phone.
so.
And well, we had a lot before you even came on, so don't worry
Well, I'm
about
kind
it.
of bummed. I feel like if I had come with my A game and we had a few more hours, we could really dig into some of this stuff.
Well, we'll just have a part 3.
Yeah, I would say anyone that wants to know more about the cycle feel free to hit us up on Instagram or email me, Tony@tinyfish. I'm happy to give you a better version than I could probably deliver on a podcast because I'm ill prepared and my phone is being a pain in the butt.
We love you,
Dude.
bud. Thanks for always being there for conversation.
Oh, I was going to say the
All
same
right,
thing.
team.
Yeah. Thank you for always, when I am in a pickle or if I'm upset or I need a vent or whatever it is, really appreciate you always being there.
Yeah,
And thanks for
no problem.
thanks for sharing your some of that anyway today with us. So, all right.
Thanks, dude.
No, he's gone.